Hi, I'm following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi lessons, and we're on number 4, where we're accessing the GPIO pins to blink some LEDs. We're tasked with getting LED to blink a number of times. So I got that done on my first video. In the second video, I decided, well, if one blinking is good, we ought to try doing more. So I come up with a solution that uses the threading library to blink each LED in its own thread. And I have a few comments for my video, a lot of good suggestions from other people taking the course. And Paul actually had a suggestion that you could probably do this in the main while loop without using threading. I said, well, I'll give that a try. So we'll go ahead and get to the code. So this is my original code that we started with the threading. I include the threading, and we run this thread for each of these lists up here for our blink. So you can watch the other video on that. One reason somebody was mentioning that, well, maybe you should try sending parameters to your thread. One reason that I decided I wanted to use global parameters is that you could change them on the fly later on. So I did add a couple lines of code to here. So this is it's going to sleep for 10 seconds after it gets all these other threads started, and then it's going to update the B info for this one up here, and it's going to change this 4 to a 1. So the blue LED is going to blink a couple times at 4 seconds on and 1.5 off, and then it's going to change to 1 second on and 1 second off. That's, they think that having a global variable is the way to go with that. Might be wrong, and maybe other people have a better suggestion, but we can show that, and then we'll wait to 10 seconds and we can actually see if the LED changes. So right now it's on for 4, the blue, when the other ones are blinking on their own, and off, and then probably on for 4, and then it's probably after this one, it'll probably go to a different one. Yep, now it's blinking, blue's blinking a little bit different. So that's why I'm using the global variable, so that it can actually there we go, so that we can actually update them in real time if we want to. That's probably for a later video, so I haven't got that taken care of on this one. So anyhow, this video is about doing it without the threading. So we've got one here that says no threading, multi-blink. So I knew from looking that this time monotonic was going to be probably what we wanted to use to get this going. It's sort of like a replacement for the millis counter. It just gives you your time in seconds and fractions of seconds to 3 decimal places. So it's got the accuracy of a millis counter basically. And so we can use that. And this code is actually just the blink without delay that you would use like on the Arduino and everything. But to go through this, we kept the same list, and I also added a couple other things in our list. We got they were the pin numbers, the on time, the off time, and now we have the state that it's in. We're starting it off with off, and then this is the next toggle time. So we want them to come on right away, so we started that with 0, and then after it toggles, we'll see how it updates that. So we're also just updating our set modes here, doing our set mode for BCM, which works with this extender here. And then we're using a loop to set these the GPIOs to output. One suggestion I got was to use the length of the B info as my range, and that way if you update that, you don't have to worry about it. It's always, this will automatically update each time. So I think Charlotte gave me that idea. Thanks, Charlotte, for that. So what we're doing is and then we're doing it down here too. We're getting our time each time through the loop, and then we're checking, going through our range same way, length of B info, and we're checking the next time against the current time. Like I said, the first time through they're 0, so they're pretty much going to always come on right the first time through the loop. And if it does, then what we're going to do is we're going to toggle the state of the LED by changing it to not that. And then you're going to set the output, GPIO output, using that. And then this is a ternary way of Python ternary way of doing this for loop. I mean, an if statement, so that you're doing it. So we're setting this. This is the next toggle variable, and it's current time plus the on time if the state of the LED is true. If the state of the LED is false, it's going to do this else, and it's going to do the current time plus the off time. That way, we're able to do that all in one line of code. You could have took 3 or 4 lines of code, but I kind of like this way of doing it. But that was the code. And then I thought, man, how am I going to exit out of this? Because this while true has to keep going. It can't be it can't be blocked with a input statement. So there, really didn't seem to be any way of. I looked online, and there's some ideas of different things to use, but they were all a lot of code to, have a non-blocking input or whatever. I said, and one of the suggestions was the one I used. I said, just make a thread with your input in the thread. So I ended up doing that, even though I didn't want to use threading. I ended up with a thread just to block just to do the input in a non-blocking way. So we just have this thread that just set up and waits for input. And when you put anything in it, it's going to change this global variable exit to true. And then down in the while true, we're checking to see if exit is true. And if it is, then we're going to break, and then we'll get our cleanup. Otherwise, we weren't going to get a cleanup in this. So we can show this working, but didn't get away without having a thread in this one. So let's see, we'll get it running. So they're blinking. And then we have this thread, this input's waiting, but it's in a separate thread, so it's not affecting our blinking. So we just go down here and just enter, and we're out of it. So I say, whew. Still didn't get rid of threading, but that's okay. I knew not everybody appreciates the PySimple GUI like I do, so I did this first. I said, well, we'll do it without it and see how it works. But I knew we could also do it with the PySimple GUI, so I'll show you how you can do it with that one. So we no longer need threading library, but we do have to import the PySimple GUI library. And we can set up our window with 1 line of code. All just going to be a text object, and an OK button is only thing in the window, so we got that. And then down in our while true, we have to add 3 lines of code so that we can get our check for the OK button to be pushed. So this window read, it reads the state of the window each time. So if you hit a button, that's going to read, and then you're looking for the event. So if the event is the OK button pushed, that's the event value that we have. We're just going to break out of it, and that's going to go down and do our cleanup. So we still had to add 3-4 lines of code, plus we're still using another library, but this is a fairly good way of doing it if you don't mind using the GUI. It lets you exit cleanly without threading. So got it running. So all our LEDs are blinking down here again. And all we have is this little window it'll run until you do it. So hit OK, everything stops and it exits cleanly. You're back to your prompt. So that's my third video for lesson number 4. I appreciate all Paul's instruction and look forward to what comes in lesson 5. Talk to you later.